What's poppin'? So this is what if Futo Nomura, otherwise in the thumbnail or just in the reading part, it's going to say Nomura. It's going to say what if Nomura was a Giga Chad, and honestly, that's the plan. That's what I'm making. I'll be honest. Out of everyone I could make a Giga Chad, he's probably at least on the top 3 list of people who are already damn near that. And I mean, yeah, I just have to edit a few little things about him, and he's there. I mean, one, we're editing, he is still an orphan, yes, but in this version, he's had an obsession. While he does like to train, after he got injured where he can't wield a sword by the man who adopted him, the old master, the one that beat the living shit out of him and forced him to train until he got, well, where he couldn't wield a sword, is the same guy who basically is the one who basically instilled the training will into him. Now, by the way, guys, if y'all can hear better mic on this version, that's because new headphones. Yeehaw, yeehaw, motherfuckers. Yeah, let's all get a round of applause for that one, but let's go back. So as he gets older, he notices that his body is so well defined that even getting hit by a truck wouldn't even affect him. By the way, sorry guys, I'm literally right next to a busy road for some reason, even though it's past midnight. It is 1:30. Why? So many people have to still be awake and driving. Man, this shouldn't even be a busy road. It's a bad thing, man. Anyway, back to video. As Nomura is just doing his thing, we skip over to the point in the anime where he appears, and that's where things start to really go kind of similar but different. One, Nomura has to do nothing when he walks in. He walks in there not caring. He's like, "This is what the dudes wear." It's kind of weird, bro, but I'm not gonna judge. To each their own, I guess, man. And he still has the same goals: peace, quiet, and just enjoy himself. And guess what? They don't want him to have any of that. Ren still tries to attack him with the sword. He in this version said the same exact shit. Really, so y'all are gonna be jumping me when I have no weapon? And they still take this as, oh, so if you had a weapon you'd be able to beat us? And he said, sure, just give me a microphone. I'll yell real loud for him. Then basically saying, oh, how funny. Like you really could. And then they said, and then she'll swear about, oh, by the end of the bell, I'll have punished you. And he's like, okay, bet. And he just straight up kicks his gear in and takes off. He's gone. She's like, what the hell? Because he still looked away and then vanished underneath the girl's skirt. But in this version, that girl said, oh, how amazing. And she completely fell in love with him from first sight. Since in this version, the only size they had was about half of his. So when they put the clothes on him, they were like, yeah, I don't think any of these are going to work. We either got baggy as hell, or going to rip against your skin, man. You pick. Whatever. So he picks the one that's tight as shit. Really, because the baggy as hell one wouldn't work on him that well. It just got in the way, so he just started walking around like that. And every single girl in the school noticed this. And hell, half of them already have a crush on him. Though they wouldn't admit it unless they needed to. And they decided to know what's going on, because the whole punishment happened in the school. So I just had the loudest truck pass by. You could probably still hear it on the mic, but still. Why? There's no point of it being that loud. It wasn't even room loud. Nobody just scratching around on the ground loud. Why? Anyway, back to the video. So yeah, they think he's gonna get corrected, and they're right. He would have usually. But as he takes off and vanishes, and he's running away, she still attacks him with the sword. He's able to weave that. And then they still have the same joke around thing while he's weaving and all that. Until he has to actually, put the gloves on. He put them Kevlar gloves on, and he starts smirking, saying, okay. Also, he's about 100 times stronger than he was in canon. He easily is able to catch he caught her sword easily and said, ha. While the girl who can hear everything saying, well, all of them said, if she strikes, she could break bone. This when they said, but Nomura has so much muscle that it would tear him apart. It would basically protect the bone no matter how hard anyone could swing. highly doubting even all the masters that they knew could be able to even hurt this guy. And you're right, and it's right. Even the strongest master of a sword would their blade would shatter against his chest. The Kevlar gloves are just for the look. And this is when she starts chopping at his clothes, and it rips his shirt apart completely. Sad to say, school's out of uniforms. Luckily, he didn't rip apart his pants. Though, that's all it had. And well, yes, and this is where, yes, he had really baggy. While his shirt was really tight, the pants were still loose enough that he needed a belt to hold them up, or else they'd go down. They're like 4 sizes too big for him, because that was the only pair of pants they had. He accepted it, and he was told they'd get a new set of uniform. They'd get new uniforms for him, like, as soon as possible. It'd probably take a month, though. Kind of pissing him off, they would take that long. They said maybe a week, but they'd be rushed. And you'd have to get another one a few weeks later, just so we'd have actually good ones for you. He said sure. Now, basically the first day tearing apart his shirt, he has the option of taking the big baggy one. Only problem, the big feller he has to share a dorm with, which he just still has to share a dorm with, but in this version there's like they have like this thing where it's a room dorm where everyone has their own technical dorm, but they can get into each other's, like they can get into each other's. Like, you know those hotel rooms where there's a door between 2 hotel rooms, they're right next to each other? It's basically that. Alright, so yeah. He's basically done with that, and he really does think it's all good. And he wasn't expecting that, the kind of roommate thing he has, because yeah, they're still considered roommates, but they're not, like, living right, like, bunk bed as they were in canon. This does help him, not very much, but a little bit. No, Nomura never locks his door. He figures if anyone has the balls to try breaking and entering, he'll see what happens. Since, while he does only sleep in, well, a Speedo, that's basically all it is, because that's basically all it is, in size, same shape and all that, that's all he sleeps in. He doesn't feel a need for anything else. If anyone breaks in, he could easily tear them in half. So yeah, that's kind of how it is. They are connected, every room, well, not every room, but 2 rooms. Every 2 rooms are connected. There's always a set of 2. That's how it is. And Big Boy, still kind of considered the roommate, as he's the next door one, and anytime you need something, you go to your next door one. That's kind of one of the rules. An unspoken rule of the guy's dorm. Now, what else is a big deal? Is that there's been 3 times someone has busted in Nomura. Right when he gets there, there's 3 people who jump in his room, try to mess with him. And they aren't trying to bully him or nothing, they just want to scare him. See what happens. New guy, kind of stuff. Well, he didn't know what was going on, and he just woke up. And it is 2:30. That is 2 hours before he's supposed to wake up. First thing he does is wake up and sock the crap out of the biggest guy. By chance, being a tough guy who could actually throw hands. Actually able to take 1-to-1 sword swings and be able to catch a sword. Only did it once before getting his ass beat, though, so I'm going to make the character up. He got his ass whooped. 1 punch, send dude flying out of the room. Knocked clean the fuck out. 2 other dudes just straight get their heads grabbed and basically smashed together and thrown out the room. He then came to a sense saying, "What? Oh crap! Why would y'all do that? In what world would you be able to land a punch on me? In what world would this end up good for you?" I'm saying how, and the next day he has to actually go up in there shirtless, and he still gives he does actually kind of have a shirt. He's allowed to he has to wear a shirt. So he just wears a blue dolphin one, which he actually buttons up. Leaves the top button undone though, since he felt like it. It's basically a pitch white shirt with tiny blue dolphins on it. So yeah, I think the cars are gone by. Anyway, back to the video, guys. As Nomura, just doing his thing, not giving a fuck. Alright, I hope I can make a little bit of a video before I have to pause again. So yeah, Nomura doing his thing. He just doesn't give a single shit. He's basically gets caught the same way, but in this version, that girl, when he called her beautiful, he was doing all the flirting stuff. Because he actually thinks she's beautiful and actually wouldn't mind and wants to date her and all that. And she actually completely wants him. Like, she is completely overwhelmed. By the way, the only reason he was able to get beaten by the Empress or whatever she was called before is because he wasn't expecting it. He just took on 40 motherfuckers. And he was standing like he was a tank the whole time, and then gets stabbed in the chest. It actually hurt her fingers a lot trying to do it. And she had to go like with 4 different stabs trying to do it. And when she went to actually end him, she stopped because not only did it hurt, but she also loved him because of how powerful he was. He was able to take over 40 stabs and stay standing. So the world's last truck just ran right by my place. I live literally 20 feet from the road, and I'm as far off as I can be while still getting any Wi-Fi. Hell, I'm not even getting it right now. So yeah, I'm fucked trying to make these videos while this loud-ass vehicles are coming around. Anyway, back to the video. As we have a beastly version of Nomura. So that girl, the second one, she starts talking crap, and he basically says, "Hold up," and she doesn't even listen. She hits the button repeatedly. And when it was locked down, he's like, "Hey, listen, before you fucking do this shit, listen up." And she doesn't even try listening. And he's like, "Listen." She's not listening. So he just says, "Fuck it," and goes to walk away. Every single trap, he basically just sends that giant metal ball that was going to roll behind him. He just punches that and it just flies backwards, shattering through the wall of the 5th floor. As it hit the ground, they were like, "How dare you destroy public property? I'd rather destroy it than die." Yep, now, as they're like, "How dare you destroy public property?" Yeah, and all that, and he's like, "I'd rather destroy it than die." So, yeah. This is when, out of nowhere, he basically just walks away. He still has to deal with those 2 trying to jump him. Only in this version, Whip Chick didn't even get like half a swinging on him before he straight just did not. And the student that was like the assistant to Ren couldn't do jack. Now, back to the what if. As Nomura's doing his thing, absolute beast moding it. As he was doing his thing, absolutely beast moding it, he decided, you know what? Whatever. Oh crap, I left the card there. Damn. And I'm not going back there. Not right now. So he's not planning on going back there for a while. And then she appears, saying, "Here's your card." Giving the stamp and saying, "I hope I'll see you later." Hearing this, he said, "You'll see me later, don't worry." And then they have to deal with the whole shit. Next, after she starts actually being the one to accompany him, make sure he doesn't do any crazy shit, as fucking much of a beast as he is, she wouldn't be able to stop him even if she wanted to. Even if there was 100 guys who jumped him, he'd stay standing, not even caring. Hell, he'd get hit in the head with a baseball bat and it would break the bat. But anyway, back to the video. As Nomura's doing his, big man shit. Not caring. Sorry if y'all can hear the dogs around here. Dog. Damn dogs. They are after everything right now. I don't get it why. Anyway, so Nomura, doing his thing, just basically doesn't care. And then, that night, Rin actually asked, "Will you sleep with me?" Nomura said, "You know this won't be me becoming your boyfriend or shit like that." And she says she doesn't mind. And she realized why he said that. Because after 4 hours of smashing, of, pounding, and this will be an 18+ what if, so yeah, let's get into the dirty. After 4 hours of fucking her brains out, she's exhausted and says, "Oh, that was so good," and can't even get out of bed. She's taking a breather. And he straight up stands up saying, "Alright, we should get to school. I think you should rest." And then she says, are you out of libido? And he said, not even close. That wasn't even 10% of it. And then she says, what the fuck? How the hell does anyone handle that? No one can. That's why I said I don't think you might be the only one. Her saying, alright, I'll need to share you. I get it now. There's no way only one person could handle that. Hell, I don't even think 5 could. As he said, probably not. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's ever been anyone who could. But this is when he actually got up saying, you know what? We started this at 8 o'clock. What time is it now? It's midnight. We should get some sleep. She says, fine. But you have to do me in the morning. Sure. Do you want me to wake you up when I get up usually? Well, I'll probably already be awake by then. Alright. They both go to sleep. He wakes up at 4:30. She usually wakes up at actually 6 o'clock. So she wakes up and is like, what? It's so early. How are you already up? And he says, don't worry. Go back to sleep. At 6 o'clock, you can get up and do all your stuff. I'm going to go, as he points, to his workout area, which he has basically just got a full gym in there with over 400 pounds with a 405 bench press just already set up for him to do. Not really caring. With all this weight on him, it still seems like it's nothing to him as he starts doing his workout, and it's silent to her. Her saying, he's so quiet even when he works out like that. Because to him, it's literally just warm-up weight. And then he goes out to do his actual heavy weights, which is basically a 600-pound dumbbell. A 700-pound one, not dumbbell, like 600-pound like barbell, all that. The heaviest ones. And there's one that's 2,000 pounds. He's barely able to get it up and down a few times. After about 10 reps, he says, alright, that's a good morning workout. Sets it down, he's good. And now, being that was mainly just his lifting strength, and now he has to practice with his fists and he just starts hitting the pole. This is basically a wooden thing of a giant tree, what seems to be a wooden stump. As it's in the ground, basically every punch would start to bend it backwards and forward. This is when she noted, that thing is supposed to be an unmovable thing. I'm pretty sure trucks would shatter against it. As this is as surprised she was after hearing his workouts. When he was done, it was 6 a.m. He just got back from his run all the way around the school campus 10 times. Pretty good warm-up for him, as he basically just makes himself some food. Mainly just broccoli, Alfredo, a few things of pasta, doing all that good stuff. As he sets all his gear down, which was mainly a 100-pound vest that he wears all day, that he wears when he does his morning workout, and then he doesn't wear it whenever he's doing his daily routine, only for when he's doing his workouts. Now, admittedly, this would be a pretty big one. So he's doing his thing, not really caring at all, whenever he figures out, 6 o'clock. She's getting up, getting ready and all that, but she doesn't get dressed, surprisingly enough. And I'm going to say school starts for them at 8:30. And as close as they are, most people in the rooms are basically soundproof. So that's not a big deal. Now, this is when he gets back in there, gets a little bit of a rinse off in the shower. Well, she literally isn't. She just got out of the shower. And he basically says, alright. As he basically, right when he gets out, about to grab his clothes, before he'd even put his underwear on, they get torn. They get pulled down, and she says, no, you won't be needing those for a few hours. He says, okay. So at 8:15, after rigorously smashing this whole time, and Ren at this point being jelly-legged again, not as bad as she was, but still it takes her a minute to get up, is when he's completely stopped, saying, we need to get ready for school. Come on, it's a 5-minute walk, and you'll need a few minutes to recover, right? She rinses off, gets dressed, both of them, and they start walking. Her sword on her side, his gloves just in his pocket. This is when she would say, how much of your libido did you actually use up? And he said, honestly, 7%. I thought you said it was 10% last night. Yeah, that was after 4 hours. In 2 hours, you made me go to 7%. going with everything I had. Congratulations. This is when she wonders, how long could you last? Well, if I really wanted to, 48 hours easily. And she says, really? Yeah. Then do it. Sure. When? The weekend. We'll see about that. Bet. This is when the assistant, the girl that, Ren trains, basically grabs by the back of his belt and pulls him backwards, and he says, what the? And he turns around, and Ren does too, and this is when she says, why weren't you at the room last night? Did y'all do something? And Ren kind of blushing, saying, we did. Though she didn't take her mask off at all. Not even when she went to sleep. So he really didn't be able to see nothing. Now, this is when they have to deal with the whole, what was it? The blonde chick going to deal with him, and actually, first, so yeah, this is the easiest thing he can do. And when that one tries to swing that whip at him, he says, you should have learned, dragging his belt off, swinging like it was his own whip. And whenever this caught, his pants go down. And being that he was still rushed that morning, because, they had to get ready, he doesn't have any pants. He doesn't wear any underwear. He didn't get the chance since, Ren tore them off of him and threw them somewhere. He didn't find them. So she sees this absolute monster that's hanging down almost down past his knee, and says, wow. Basically tries going toward, and is so awestruck she passes out. And this is when he pulls his pants up, and then, out of nowhere, the Empress says, oh, damn. And dude notices this. He's actually about to go towards her when the chick with the rapier tries stopping him. He says, God damn it, turns his head for a second, turns back, gone. Kind of pissed off about this. One, because he's been looking for her for a long ass time, after getting 4 more scars added to his body. Now, by no means is he scarless. He's very, very much scarred up after these years. So yeah, worse than even Nomura in the original, which is hard to beat, since he was ripped to shit. Now, Nomura, as he is, could easily take her out if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to hurt her. He wants to befriend her, but still. So, back to the what if. So, as Nomura's doing his thing, having to deal with her, he actually grabbed the exact same book he had wound up grabbing in canon, since he actually did like to read it. Actually using it to block and use it as a kind of small hammer down as kind of a hold back kind of moment. So he would have the reach to hit her in the head. And it worked. She passed out and she does the same thing and he says, God, no. If I say I'm not going to do something, I ain't doing it. And she says, aw, trying to flash her boobs at him, and he's like, no, stop. And then he gave her an invitation saying, come to my place tonight then. And we'll catch you up on this. She said, alright. As he gave his exact room, sitting it down saying, the door will be unlocked, don't worry. Now, this is when, out of nowhere, the girl barely got up while thinking the thing was massive. It was bigger than his knee. It was up to his knee. And she only saw it soft. It's 16 inches like every other time I make the what if with the Giga Shad. So yeah, I just make that as an easy one. 18 when it's full force. 16 when it's normal. When it's actually hard. But 18 when it's like monster sizing up. Now, this is where Nomura is doing his thing, as he's just walking around, not really giving zero shits. Going through a school day, he's kind of and he's completely fine. A few slashes on his body, which doesn't really matter to him. As that night, that night, she goes in there. She was about to try translating French. She said nah. And she was about to try doing it again, trying to say she was coming, but trying to say it in French. And he basically speaks French, saying, "Non mon ami," and saying, "Don't, you know, don't do this. I would like to hear you say it in Japanese." Hearing that he can speak French, she's impressed. One, not many people can speak French. Two, she was not expecting that one. As this made her come even harder, and made it where she basically had jelly legged after 4 hours as well. Rin kind of being a little pissed off she didn't get a chance tonight. This is when she tries saying, "Am I your only girl?" He says, "I'll stop you right there. This was not a relationship." Her saying, "What do you mean this wasn't a relationship?" "Well, you see, we never agreed to have a relationship. And besides, you're not the only girl I've done this with." "Oh yeah, and who else could handle you for 4 hours?" Saying, "Ren? No way, there's no way she could handle you for that long." And this is when he simply says, "You're right. The morning after she was allowed for me for 2 more hours. 6 hours in total." As her jaw hit the floor saying, "Wow. That's impressive." Yeah. You know what's even more impressive? The fact it only took her 5 minutes to be able to master this thing. Where she could actually get on it. Without feeling immense pain. This is when she said, "But it took me 7. I know. Now, let's get to sleep. As it's midnight, and as pissed off as this, and those two girls, the ones that got trained by these two, the next day happens, and they're basically accompanying him, and this is right before the War Olympics. This is the day before. And both of those girls appear, along with Purple and Mickey. And her name is Miggy, but I call her Mickey because that's the one that it was used in canon. So yeah, let's go with that. Now, by no means does this help very much, but it still did something. Anyway, as he's basically not giving 0 fucks. Like, I'm literally talking 0 fucks. He completely dropped what he was doing at 8 o'clock when both of them and those other 2 girls would appear right in front of him. Right walking into his room while Rin and I don't know what the other one's name was. I'm calling her Blondie. Blondie and Rin were not there. They were doing something. What they were doing? No fucking clue. Where they were doing it? No fucking clue. I'm gonna stay in their room sleeping. Mainly because they just had to deal with him, and it takes about 2 nights to recover after dealing with him. For 1. Completely recover, by the way. Sure, the morning after you can somewhat do it, but that next day and the day after, you're gonna need time to recover. And believe it or not, both of these girls were virgins before this happened, so they need extra time to recover. And these 4, so were they. This is when he does his thing, doing his absolute beast mode. Sorry about that, guys. Dog saw something. Not mine, but still. Damn, dog. I didn't expect that. No. Out of nowhere, and I do mean nowhere, we have to deal with all 4 of these girls, each were able to last 2 hours. So it's exhausting for him. He just did 8 hours of non-stop pounding, and he's exhausted. He's in all manners exhausted. He's got next to 0 energy left in his body. But he has just enough. As he laid down saying, "Ladies, let's get to bed." As they all basically jump on him. Those 2, Miggy and Purple, jump on his leg, on his right and left leg, while Rin's girl gets on his right, and Blondie's gets on his left, and he's basically like, "I can get used to this." As he sleeps and wakes up at 4 4:30, the girls are barely awake, and he says, "Oh, shush, shush, go back to sleep," while forgetting that I'm just gonna throw a bone out here for Miggy. Forgetting Miggy's down there. He completely forgot she was down there by his waist. So when he gets up, she gets hit right in the face. She wakes up. She basically kind of almost wakes up to that, and actually kind of does as her eyes open. She sees this monster laying across her eyes, saying, "Isn't someone happy to see me?" And she grabs him and just gets on him. All of these girls together doing the whole thing, giving him more of a workout than his actual workout would have been. Him finishing with them quite early, actually, saying it was only 7 o'clock, he could still get a workout in, and this is when they all jump on him again, saying, no, you won't. They get on him again, and at 8 o'clock is when they're finally done, and he says, damn it, now what am I gonna do? I just in complete, just fuck it, I guess it is my rest day today, so may as well. And sorry if y'all can hear that noise in the background, guys, it's a plane. Don't get how the fucking be so far away and so fucking loud. Like, damn. Anyway, back to the what if. As he's basically not giving even a single shit, he gets up, they shower up, they get ready, and they walk out of the room. This is when both Blondie and Rin are standing outside saying, What happened? What did you do? As both draw their swords, putting it right to his neck, and he says, ladies, what did I tell y'all when we first got with each other? We would be your only women, but why them? Honestly, they're nice people. Oh, please, they're not even that good. As he said, by the way, actually, before this, I was able to get y'all something. Okay, show us. Getting Rin a special sleep mask, which is one that's really just covers your eyes whenever you're asleep. That's it. Saying that way she could take off her demon mask whenever she was going to sleep. Thinking, thank you, that was so thoughtful. For Blondie, actually gifting her something surprising to her, a perfect French book. One that was actually better than the one she had. One she'd been looking at for a while but could never afford. Saying, thank you. And this is when he said, oh, by the way, here. Throwing Miggy, like, I don't even know what the fuck she would like. But I'm going to say she's a fan of the Western world of swords. So he actually gives her, like, a Roman dagger, saying, what do you think? She says, perfect. And then says, guess I won't be needing this anymore. He says, no, keep that on you just in case. Saying, alright, putting it on her side, saying, no rule against having daggers. Sweet. As he said, alright, here, and gave Rin's, like, the one who was taught by Rin, saying, here, you need this. And he gave basically her a shorter version of Rin's sword. It looked just like it, saying, how did you get every detail? I have a buddy who does blacksmithing. Really? Yeah, it took a little bit to call him, but it wasn't that hard. Okay. This is when he would say, oh, and here, you too. Grabbing purple, and then gifting her, and I'm gonna say she's actually a huge fan of the, of a different type of weapons. He gave her the spear that she was looking at in a book. I'm gonna say she was looking at one, and he pulls it out, and it's a giant wooden spear, light as a feather, but strong enough to where it could probably clash with metal swords, and even on the wood it wouldn't break. Like, even the strongest sword swing wouldn't even affect this thing. It's even strong enough for him to swing it around and clash wood to iron, so yeah. She says, thank you so much, and says, guess I won't be, I'll keep this anyway, as he put it on her side, as he put it basically on his side, as she put it kind of on her side, as he gave her the sheath to it, teaching her how to pull it out in an instant. She was very happy of this. Learning how to use it would be easy too. This is when he goes right over to the whip-wielding little one, saying, you know what, I figured you may need one of these. And he pulls out an extendable, rapier. which is basically a rapier that has the ability to come out in a few different fashions. Actually, no. He grants her something like a whip, called the Iron Whip, which is basically a whip that has the same abilities as a sword, although it's far easier to control, and far, far better to use in a fight with swords, since it can instantly turn into a solid object if you press a certain button on it. Though, noting that this thing was, like, exhausting to have made. This is when she said, wait a second, how much was all this? And this is when he said, $100,000. What? I'm messing with you. It was only $2,000. What? How did you have $2,000? Yeah, money I saved up. From what? I challenge people to fights, and if they beat me, they get all the money I have on me. I usually have about 2,000 on me, and all it costs to enter is $100. I'll take on anyone at any time. Wait, so if someone gives you a $200, they have a chance of winning $2,000 or more. Yeah, usually after about 20 fights, people are like, we aren't gonna beat this guy. But then thinking, wait, he just fought 20 guys. There's no way he's complete top shape. We could win. After about after about 4 hours of it, I usually just say, all right, that's it, I'm done. Like, then you have to give it to whoever was fighting you the money. It's like, I just emptied out the last dude. That's it. This is the last match. Looking at the next guy who wanted, saying, so you're gonna be my last match, okay? Okay. As he does a single shot to the stomach, knocks you clean out. As he walks away, saying, well, that was kind of easy. Them thinking, how the hell does he make money that easily? And he says, simply my thing. Alright, whatever. As he would proceed to basically say, alright, now, let's get back into it. Now, this is when he has to deal with the War Olympics. Now, as strong as he is, and as powerful as he is, no one knows his actual strength limit. They haven't seen how much he can lift yet. They've heard it outside, but they've never seen it. And sure, they've seen the weights, but honestly, they don't know if those are even, usable. Because while the plates do look heavy, they're the kind of weights that you would use to, they look super thin, but they're heavy as shit. You know the ones the world's strongest men use that are like 100 pounds, but they're like tiny as shit? Yeah, they're using those. So he's using those, and you can't even see it. Barely even shows on them. As he's able to do it with 5 on each side. I don't know whatever the weight of the bar was, as is normal, like every workout needed. And for even heavier duty workouts he needed to do, he just does them. This is his basic max out daily. Every few days. Now, in no way is he actually struggling to do this, by the way. Back to the what if. As Nomura is doing his thing, like I said, not really caring, then he actually completely overwhelmed some people. Come on. So the first thing he does is getting his Mwashi on, and then this first, no, I'm good. And basically completely got, boom, down to nothing but that Speedo, which he says, won't need this, as he pulls it off, dropping it down. Whenever he was in there alone, putting on his Mwashi, and standing tall, saying, I figured it out, I can do it with only myself. Though a little difficult, I'll admit. This is when they turn to him and see the chiseled physique, in literally just a Speedo. Now, I usually wouldn't show this, but it's easy enough to... Booyakasha, motherfuckers. There it is, the look he has. Now, yeah, it's basically all we need. Basically what he looks like walking up in there, not caring, saying, anyone I'll face. It points to those 3, and then he's like, oh, this is bullshit. When a bear drops in, he's like, really? You know what? This won't be difficult. Claiming the same stuff, ever since he grew hair down there, he's been able to take on even adults and never lose a fight. Them hearing this saying, bullshit, as he basically is able to easily lift up Kyobu, saying, who tried this bear's Mwashi? Putting Kyobu down, saying, who tried the bear's Mwashi? And then they're like, why? And he says, thank you, as the belt falls. He laughs his ass off, saying, I didn't even need to take it down. it just came off because it was bad made. And this is when the next part of the war games would happen, where, you know, once those are done, then they have to deal with the whole entire thing of doing all that. They get up there, and the first thing that happens is he has to box Kyobu. Now, Kyobu, he was expecting the normal one, but then, boom, a jab. Then, this is when they're like, oh, you didn't even test it. Like, he said, what the hell, man? That bear just threw a jab. This is when she would basically say, yeah, didn't mention that, did I? Yeah, she can do boxing. Saying, all right. Now, this is when, out of surprisingly out of nowhere, he stood back up, tall and strong, and is willing to rip apart anything, saying, huh, it wasn't that difficult, as he actually went into a dead stalemate with boxing a bear, not even needing to wear his gloves and just gearing full force to full force. And he didn't even he put his pants back on, but that was it. He didn't care about putting that back on his shirt. Now, at this point, there still is no uniforms for him, which he kind of hates, but he doesn't really care. Now, this is where he's basically doing the whole fight, and he's done. He wins his easily, standing above Kyobu as they win their fights. Kind of easily, as he basically cracks his neck, saying, alright, now help me with this, as he tries to put washi belts on all of them. Kyobu actually, well, Kyobu isn't surprised. What's going on, just passes out. I remembered her name, Mary. Blondie's name was Mary. As Mary and Rin would basically be like, no, we're not doing that, alright, whatever. Next day, not a big deal. Them changing up their looks for him. Him not saying a damn thing about it. And, looks for Rin, she changed her uniform. And for Mary, she completely wore a different perfume. This is when, next day, he's in a good mood, surprisingly enough. And same thing happened to him. They were having the boys' night eating, when he basically got roofied. He's like, what the hell? As he passes out, he's completely confused as shit when he wakes up. I mean, sure, they had to do like 5 times as many as they usually would need a regular human, because his body would burn it through so much faster. They put this man to sleep. He wakes up like, what the hell? As she put 4 in her mouth, kissed him, and put them all down his throat. Him not being able to stop it, as he basically is passing out while the picture being taken. Kind of pissed off that this is happening, but he can't really do jack shit to stop it, since he falls asleep. Now, this is where the big difference would apply. Here's where the really big difference applies. While he wasn't hard, they've seen his thing, and they aren't jealous of anything like that. But they were wondering what the hell, man. Because usually he'll tell them. At this point, he tells them whose time gets what's. And that was his one day he said no one has it yet. And they were like, alright, well, we'll see about trying to fill the spot. And he says, yeah, I'm good right now. I don't want it filled right now. Basically thinking that he lied to them, and they hate lying, but yeah, no. Doing this, them still kind of not saying anything, after he even gave them the compliment saying this was more them, even though they changed it yesterday, it didn't make no sense. This was more them anyway. Surprisingly enough, them completely overwhelmed, saying, really? Now, he decided with Warby doing the exact same thing as he did in canon. Only in this version, his plan was a slight bit more messed up. So yeah, his plan gets all sorts of fucked over. One, whenever he did the same plan, it worked. He got the shit beat out of him. But they knew this wouldn't be enough to hurt him. So instead of it just being water torture, sure, they did the same water torture, but after about 5 minutes each time, they would ride him for 5 minutes. Water torture, 5 minutes of riding. Water torture, 5 minutes of riding. After the end of it, he was exhausted so much that even standing up was exhausting. Though he said, I have to keep going. You picked a weird way of getting your ass beat, you know that, right? Yeah, I just wanted to let them get everything off their chest. And he's basically barely even able to walk at this point, but he's stumbling around. Now, this is when they end up having to do the same thing. Him getting a little bit of his energy back and getting powered up again. Now, they still end up going to do the same thing. And he still has to face that one chick. The dead-eyed chick. The creepiest shit one. Now, green hair, doing her thing. Completely naked, doesn't really give a shit. And he says, basically he's thinking, this is bullshit. As she's using all her techniques on him, and he's actually getting pretty damn badly injured. It's hurting him like a motherfucker, but he is not done yet. Never done yet. And then he basically rips all his clothes off, and she doesn't look away. She gets fixated on it and actually grabs it. Trying to fondle it and everything, trying to see how big he really was. Her surprise when it went all the way up to her boobs and poked one of them. Her saying, naughty boy. Actually winding up trying to fondle it a lot, and actually tries squeeging it out with her hand. He said, why? As they saw him having their fight, her swinging a sword, him trying to avoid getting his cut off. Now, he's able to stop her blade with his gloves and just straight up send it flying. But whenever he won, she still threw that thing in the water for him to pimp slap her in the back of the face, saying, after all the shit you put me through, I will never be able to do the same shit. Look at me, fucker. I'm covered in 79 different scars that I got here. I have 250 from before this shit. Hearing this, she's completely surprised, saying, that's a lot. And you added 7 of them tonight. Seeing all the cuts he put on, that she had put on him, actually completely confused her. Now, this is where all he's got is his pants. And his dolphin tee, which he actually was wearing, which isn't ripped up. Since they stripped him completely new to do the water torture. In this version, at least. Now, this is where, out of completely zero shits, absolutely no fucks given, he basically does the whole, he still ends up hiding in the water, and actually in this version, she tried sneaking her way on it, but realized it was way too fucking big for her. Like, trying to fit a brick into a tiny little bottle container. More precisely, like, trying to fit 25-pound dumbbell in a little, like, bottle cap area. You know, where a bottle goes? The bottle opening, drinking out of. Basically trying to fit that, and she was surprised as hell, because she'd never seen one that big. Then she thinks, there is no way those two were able to handle this thing. Then saying, well, damn. As the other girl walks in, gets them treated to the nurse and everything, and then has to get him. Tries talking to him the same way. He doesn't even respond. He's actually pretty hidden for a guy his size, and he's dead silent. Now, this whole time, this girl's trying to be creeping down it. She's able to get 2 inches down before he basically just thrusts forward, getting up to 5. This is when, giving it everything she had, she grit her teeth and grabbed him, saying, not saying while that girl was in there, once she walked away, and was about right before Nomura right before he's about to get up. This is when she would say, hold on just a little bit longer, as she tries creeping down a bit, even a little bit more, as he goes all the way down to a complete base, saying, you happy now? She said, very. You really are a monster if you can handle all that. Oh, aren't you the one to talk, monster? I mean, kinda. Fair point. Well, you want to do this again? Come to my room. Hearing this saying, you get it. Kind of creeping the shit out of him, saying, and please don't do that shit whenever you're there. with not life actually in her eyes this time, saying, "Alright, we'll see." Alright. As he goes and basically, right when he tries getting up, he passes out, saying, "Oh, did I forget to mention there was poison on the blade?" What the fuck? As he passes out, and she basically was kind of fondling him into sleep. But once they get everyone there, they pick his ass up. And even though it took everyone in there to get his big ass off the ground, they know that he was heavy as hell. Not only did Kyobu have to wake up to help, Kyobu could barely do it using all strength, noting how fucking heavy the dude was. And each of his limbs were being held by someone else. Now, the assistants to basically Rin's assistant and Mary's assistant are the ones carrying his arms. And Purple and Mickey are the ones that are carrying his legs. While his torso and head are being carried by Kyobu. And this basically gets him to the hospital room and all that. They treat his wounds, all that shit happens. Though, the Jin Mother was kind of surprised when they saw that he was that badly injured. Saying, damn. Having to treat every single wound on his body that looks like it was sustained in a massacre and not whatever the fuck they were doing, as this looks like it was more attempted murder than anything else. But noting he still stood strong. Well, laid strong, because he can't really fucking stand up right now. But he would be damned if it was going to work that easily for them. He was standing with enough power to rip apart a cinder block barehanded. Anyway, this is when, surprisingly enough, he would wake up. And they would basically wind up having the same kind of thing, and he actually asked if he could, and the whole thing, requesting to see her face. Does the same request, and sees it. Now, funny thing is, seeing her face, she said, I'd rather you see me naked than see my face," saying, "I've seen you naked, though." Fair point. Well, now I've seen all of you, why don't we try all of you at once? And this is what you hear. What do you mean, all of me at once? Well, I mean, next time you come over, which I think you're scheduled for tomorrow night? Or the night after tomorrow, right? Yeah. Well, then I'll see you then. No mask, nothing. Deal. Trying to crush him in her boobs, he basically says, "Hold on," as Mary jumps on him and tries smothering him in her boobs. He basically picks her up by her back, saying, no, setting her down. Now that he's got everything he wants, he's basically set. And now he has to deal with that one little one. This is basically where I ended up finishing off watching. So far, guys, I'm sorry, but yeah. But I'm not going to finish yet. Since I do know the rest of it damn near by heart, even though it was like a year and a half since I've seen this shit. Photographic memory, motherfuckers. Let's go. As this is when they lost the little bear, they lost the wig, and turns out the bear had a little wig. Scaring the shit out of everyone when that thing was peeping around. For Nomura to have to deal with it, catching the bear, saying, "Come here." Taking the wig off, giving it right back to its owner, saying, "Alright, let's go." Giving the bear back to its owner, saying, "Alright, now." This is when he winds up having to actually deal with the Empress, which he's basically called the Emperor at this point, since all but one of the 5 swords has smashed with him. And the only 5 sword member that hasn't is the youngest one. And if y'all don't know, that's because she's actually actually only a year younger than them, though. And it wasn't really a big deal, but it's not really something he wanted to deal with right then. And by that I mean a year younger in this version. So yeah. once he's completely done with that whole thing, he actually has to fight her. And he does damn well. He's able to easily keep up. And a few points overwhelm her. This is when he would actually wind up taking his shirt off and reveal that all the hits she's been dealing was just to that one thing. Throwing it away, taking his shirt completely off, and he did the same exact fighting style and actually hit her with a bullet. Standing strong like a tank, saying, no, that won't work. As every stab bounced off. This is when she actually grabbed him by the throat and kissed him. And tried to just basically smash right then and there. About to deal with this, he ends up actually saying, not right now. Now, this is the night before she leaves. They wind up smashing, obviously. Now, this is where the big difference would occur. Sorry about that, guys. This random dog just came up trying to record for my headphones, which I do not allow that kind of shit. Now, this is when we have to deal with the final part where she kisses him and tries doing that, which totally easy. And she basically said, remember, I'll always have a, and he said, remember, you've always got a place. Whenever I get that final thing, she said. Now, this is where he would actually, instead of becoming the student of that blind girl, would actually wind up not student, but fuck buddy. That night, they would smash to the point where, well, everyone was surprised. Now, sorry about that, guys. I know y'all didn't want to hear that, and I'm sorry to all those who use headphones. Trust me, I fucking get it. But no other choice, sorry. I couldn't pause it. The screen was acting up. So, let's get to it. This is where he would utter that night. She was amazed. This was bigger than most of her torso. As he basically said, alright, as he pulled it back, and boom. She was able to handle up to 5 inches of her first go. Surprisingly enough, saying, wow, you're pretty big. Saying, you know that wasn't even half of me, right? Wait, what? Looking down, seeing the full shaft, saying, that's gonna hurt. Well, better now than never, and grabbing him by the back and using a spear bullet to force him inside. This full force hit sent him right all the way in, and he basically says, alright, sure, if you want to. They go at it all night. Then we have to deal with the next part. I only noticed a little bit of it, but yeah. Now, they're deciding who, because he still has to take his test. They're deciding now who to go with the 5 swords on that trip. Now, they weren't certain who to take. Usually it's the strongest of the junior 5 swords or whatever, but this time it was Nomura, since he's basically at this point smashing with all of them. And that kind of does that literally includes all of them. Except for Kyobu. That's the only woman there that he doesn't smash with, which Kyobu actually loves him. And he can't really see Kyobu like that since, it's a bear. And it's married, so whatever. At least it's a mom. That's why he's like, nah. Now, he stands there strong as an ox. More than that, at least. As he walks around not giving a flying shit. Giving 0 shits, as he basically went down to the thing, enjoyed a party at the beach, and every single girl wanted to see what happened if they went 5-on-1. The 5 strongest versus the 1 ultra strongest. Surprisingly enough, the Empress was there, in the same area, and could recognize those rock-solid abs anywhere on the beach, and decided to actually join them that night. So in a 6-on-1, after a complete night of exhaustion, he stood up saying, oh, good job. Now, who wants breakfast? All the girls saying, me. Saying, alright, well, we're allowed to sleep in as long as we want, so here you go. Making them all pancakes, everything they want. Even making hash browns. Giving the girls all that, them all going back to what they wanted to do. Them going to sleep until lunch, waking up during lunch, waking up right before lunch, as he made some amazing Alfredo with steaks and everything. All the toppings with spaghetti, everything. Nothing held back. This is when they were surprised, saying, "Really, this is a lot of stuff. Wasn't expecting it." Yeah, I guess it is. This is when they would ask, "So, how much do you eat?" As I see a giant tray saying, "That's how much you eat?" Obviously. You think I maintain the size and muscle amount off eating so little? Hell no, it's impossible. I need at least 10,000 calories a day to maintain my size. Occasionally I need more than that. Hearing this, they're surprised, saying, "Really?" Yep, now that we are done with this, let's go. And that's basically the end of the story, guys. At least the end of it as I know it. So, yeah.